Right.
So that was the first issue. The second half of your question, how do we avoid beating ourselves up? Well, when you were a toddler learning to walk, you fell many times, skinned your knee, bumped your head, all kinds of hard knocks. Did you beat yourself up for those?
No.
You cried for like what?
We cried because it was like
It hurt.
It hurt, or it scared us, or like we thought we were supposed to cry or whatever. Yeah.
And you might cry because I wanted it by now. I thought I would have it by now. But are the toddlers actually beating themselves up with a mental voice?
No.
With an inner voice? No, because they learned that from their parents beating them up for failure. But they don't start with that failure voice. So when we're all learning to walk, we're getting some major setbacks and some major failures, and we might be frustrated that it hasn't happened yet, but it's always a brief cry, a brief tantrum, and then we're back on our grind, and we're not beating ourselves up at all.
Right.
And do kids learn fast when they're young?
Yes.
I wonder why they learn so fast. I wonder why they only need to practice a little bit before they get it. Could it be that their practice is pure and pristine and unmarred by negative self-talk and beating ourselves up and so on?
Yeah.
I wonder if that plays a role in how effective their practice is.
Yes, it does.
Right. So we start out practicing well, learning quickly, getting fast results, with the main factor being not beating ourselves up for anything. And as time goes on, we start adding more and more of that beat myself up voice, that negative self-talk during our practice.
Right.
And what happens to our learning? How fast do we develop and grow then?
It slows it down.
Yeah, absolutely. You can undo tons of practice just by beating yourself up after a session.
Yeah.
So the question I have now is why? Why would anyone do this? If you were crushing it with practice early and you knew how to fall while you were walking and learn from it and have a tiny little cry and then get right back to practice, achieving super fast results, why start beating yourself up halfway through life? Like, I mean, I get why it happens. Parents train us and we start repeating by osmosis the patterns they set for us or whatever. But now that we're adults and able to make our own decisions, why would anyone continue doing this?
I have no idea. I did it for years.
But you do it or have done it as an adult.
Yeah, I still work. This is something I'm still working on right now, actually.
So my question is, like, that sounds insane to me.
Well, that's why I asked the question. So,
No, but you must be getting something out of it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Do I get something out of beating myself up?
Because, so if I say...
I mean, I'm a masochist, but not to that point.
If I say you should use this sponge to clean the dishes, it's better. Mm-hmm. And then you see someone using it and it seems to do better. And then you think back to when you were a kid or toddler and your family did have that sponge and it did do better. Mm-hmm. And so every sign on earth is logically pointing to use the new sponge. Mm-hmm. And then you go use the old one and your dishes take twice as long and you're late for whatever and there's still food on them and like your life's just not great. And you want the good results of the clean dishes, but you still refuse to use the sponge. I'm left there thinking, like, what are you getting out of it? Why are you clinging to the old sponge? Like, I don't understand.
So I'm going to
must be getting something out of it for beating yourself up.
It's my comfort zone. Like, the sponge fits my hand. I already know how many squirts of soap that sponge needs. I already know, like, how long the soap is going to last, how many dishes I can do with that sponge.
I agree with you.
So these are the reasons why I hold on to the sponge.
Sure, but all those things you already know lead you to results you already know. You're going to get the same shitty results from the same ghetto sponge. Yeah. The things you don't know lead to a result that's a million times better.
Yeah.
So yes, you don't know, I don't know, but you know the result and you've seen it and you know it. And as a toddler, you wouldn't beat yourself up. So adopting the new sponge puts you in situations you might not know, but it also delivers results you've never known before.
True.
So like, what are you getting out of it? So it sounds to me like you're getting comfort out of this one and shit results.
Yes.
And this one, you're getting discomfort and epic results.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you make it sound like it's very easy to do. And it's so simple to like not beat yourself up over this stuff and to just like let stuff go.
Well, what you're getting out of beating yourself up is comfort, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Because it's out of my comfort zone to talk. I mean, not now, but before, it was out of my comfort zone to be positive and like supportive of myself in my head. Like, it's one thing in front of you or other people or whatever, but when it comes down to really what we tell ourselves when we're alone. So I would say things like, well, that new sponge doesn't understand me. The old sponge, the old sponge gets me and understands me, and it feels comfortable. And I know I have to do extra dishes for it, and I have to scrub a little harder, and I have to like work on it a little bit more to have great results. But it's worth it because I am loyal to that old sponge. I am loyal to that, and that's what I know, and this is who I am.
Sure. So then it just comes down to, what does every human being prefer? Do you prefer comfort, or do you prefer the epic new result? If you prefer an epic new result, so talk nice to yourself during practice, because as a child, that's how you got great results. If you prefer comfort, keep beating up on yourself. I don't care. You'll get shitty results, and I'm not going to hire you for my company, but
well, the thing is, if you continue to beat up on yourself, you'll never get to the positive result that you want.
No, but you will get comfort.
And even though you continue to practice, you're like, but I'm practicing. But if you're beating yourself up over it,
you get shit results from your practice.
You're just spinning your wheels. You're not going forward. You're not going backwards. You're just like the hamster in the wheel, and you're just going around and around and around and around. Because you have to speak positively to yourself to improve, and you have to improve those results and get over the comfort. Because of comfort, I'm sorry, but I love you all, and I know what it's like to chase that comfort zone because it feels right and it feels good, and like it gets me, and this is where I feel safe. Fuck that. Sorry, I don't mean to curse, and I'm not a potty mouth, but I just want you to understand that your comfort zone is killing you. It is literally killing you slowly.
Yeah, that was fire. And the cherry on top of this lesson piggybacks off the last thing we talked about. Mm-hmm. You're always practicing something.
Yeah.
So if someone is beating themselves up for each practice session, what are they practicing?
They're practicing beating themselves up.
Yeah. And if we practice beating ourselves up, we start going further down that road, and it gets
worse.
And
it gets harder to go back.
Yeah, it gets harder to go back, and it gets easier to beat up on yourself.
Yeah, it gets easier to beat up on yourself, and it gets worse as like you feel worse, your life gets worse. And I'm a really positive person now, and I'm a loving, kind person now. But I used to tell myself things that I would never tell my worst enemy. And I've said some mean stuff to people when I was angry and hurt. But you don't deserve to speak to yourself like that. You don't deserve anyone to speak to you shitty and in a poor way. Because if you did, you wouldn't take it from them. So taking it from yourself is just going to cause more damage than some stranger saying it to you. So please stop now.